I think listeners will enjoy Wine to Five because it's packed full of meaningful, relevant information for anyone studying or just into wine. I always get something out of it and usually laugh out loud at least one time during each episode.
It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to Five. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, two wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
All right, Val, what's rocking in your wine-soaked world this week, girl?
Well, I am in my second week break from classes. It's almost like my summer vacation. I go back to school on Monday, so I'm reading stuff that I want to read and just kind of relaxing and getting stuff done around the house, mopping floors, putting down mulch, rocking.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Rocking the rocks in the yard, maybe?
Pretty much, some new lighting. I mean, we just living it up here. But how about you?
Happy home ownership. I got rid of some free stuff that I did, some stuff I didn't want anymore. It's that, one man's trash is another man's treasure situation. We had our HOA annual garage sale on Saturday, and I put out this giant box that says free on it and all of these things I didn't want, and oh my God, it brought me so much joy. Every time I looked outside, there'd be more of it missing. And I was like, this is magic, And so, the minimalism, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm so trying. We had our Harley out there, this, priced at $10,000 for this 2008 Harley Fat Bob. And then a whole bunch of free stuff. So it doesn't get any drastically different than free or $10,000.
Well, as long as they didn't think the Harley was free, then you're good.
I know. So, but what are you drinking then? You got wine in your glass or is it something stiffer?
It is. We talked about Sotol, I guess it was last week. And I actually did get the only bottle of Sotol I've ever seen on a retailer shelf here. I did get that bottle, and I thought about going there, but instead I have open a Portuguese red wine. And so that's where I am today. I'm in Portugal. And this is the 2014 Assobio by Esperal. And it's from the Douro region of Portugal. And listeners, you may remember that the Douro region is where port comes from. And the word Assobio translates to the name of a hillside on their estate. So here I am trying to translate the Portuguese on the front of the bottle. And I'm like, well, I can read, if you speak fluent wine, like Karen McNeil was telling us, a lot of times you don't need to speak the language. We all speak wine and we can all read a wine bottle in another language. And I'm like, oh yeah, it looks like it has to do with wind. Well, I keep forgetting the English version is right below it. So I do this all the time. I sit here and try to translate off the wine bottle, and I'm like, oh yeah, there it is in English. So in English, it does say that they've got a windy hillside on their estate, and that's what the wine is named after. And the grapes that you'll find in this wine are the three classic Portuguese grapes, like you'll find in a glass of port. So the Tinto Roriz, which is really Tempranillo, the Touriga Franca, and the Touriga Nacional, which is a very big port grape. And it's a really delightful red table wine. It's nice and dark and juicy, and you can't really see through it. It's really thick and staining the glass. And it is just dark fruit, really balanced, not a whole lot of tannin, not a whole lot of acid, just really, really easy to drink. You could probably put a slight chill on this and have this with like barbecue or something. It's delicious.
Now, what made you pick that out and select that from the shelf?
Well, I was drinking their rosé a couple weeks ago. I was pouring rosé up at our friend Dirk's place a couple weekends ago, and I fell in love with the rosé, and I brought some home, and I remember posting it to Instagram and people just going nuts over this producer. And everybody that came in was like, oh, that's such a great producer. And everybody just loved him. And they said the red is amazing. So when I was up there stocking up, I grabbed a bottle. And the other night we were cooking something, and I don't remember what it was, and I just grabbed it off the shelf, and I thought, let's try it. I gotta say, I love a really good priced Portuguese red. They're very interesting. I think a lot of people don't understand that Portuguese wines are more than just port or Vinho Verde. you know?
Right. And there's such great value.
A great value. And remember when we talked about Thomas Jefferson, that they drank a lot of Portuguese table wines back in the day because that's what they could get imported. So I think it's interesting how it's kind of coming full circle. It's becoming popular again. What about you? What do you got up there?
I'm having a Pinot Noir, and this is back in the trip to Carmel that I was just on. I was in a little girls' trip. 7 of us went to Carmel for a birthday, and we spent an afternoon tasting Dawn's Dream wines and having lunch there at Dawn's Dream Winery. And it was quite an adventure because we had to drive like an hour out of town, and we had the whole place to ourselves, and it was really special because Megan, who's the general manager, just really did such an outstanding job and taking pictures for us and just bending over backwards to make sure that our experience was perfect. So I'm having their Alyssa Pinot Noir because they have quite a few different Pinots, and this one's from 2016. It's from the Santa Lucia Highlands. And I ended up joining their wine club. And I haven't been a part of a wine club, like from a winery, in, I don't know, at least like 5 or 6 years. And so I was kind of excited. And I already got a case of wine, which was so cool because I chose the mixed case. So, I get all of these beautifully balanced Pinot Noirs, Rosés, and these mouth-watering Chardonnays. They do a couple of different styles of Chardonnay, and they're both so different but so good. And I forgot how much I love having wine delivered at my doorstep, so that's always good. And then what I also am very turned on about what Dawn's Dream Winery is doing and why I joined their wine club is because Dawn is quite a philanthropist, and I like to give back, and Justin and I do a lot of philanthropy locally. And so she donates a portion of her proceeds to local and global nonprofits to help support women and children. And that's how she named her winery. It was Dawn's dream to be able to give back. And so that's what the main focus is. And I connected with her because, that's what your Wino Radar is for. I mean, She also belongs to Women of the Vine and Spirits. And so it's really kind of cool to be able to build off of those connections. Like, I want to support her business, and I only know about her because I am a member of the same organization that she is. So anyhow, that's what I'm enjoying. We opened the bottle last night when we made some homemade pizza. I made this pizza last night that had like not just mozzarella cheese, but like goat cheese and roasted broccolini on it.
Yeah, you did.
And it was so good. It was like a Val pizza. I should dedicate that recipe to you because I just kind of made it up. But I was like, Val would really like this pizza.
Anything with goat cheese, girl. Anything with goat cheese and just broccolini, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so speaking of these, this Dawn's Dream, I got to tell you, and maybe here, let me find the bottle I can show you because I want you to see the wine label.
Okay. And of course, listeners, we will post pictures of our labels because, we're hardcore like that.
Look can you see it? Can you see? Is it too far away?
It's a girl in a bathtub.
It's a girl in a bathtub drinking wine. Is that not so cute? Like, that's clever. It's simple, but it gets the message across.
Well, that and, with a large part of the wine market being women, women making buying decisions in households as well as buying a large portion of the nation's wine, depending on which research you look at. That's one of those bottles that I could see a woman just picking up going, hey, I've had a rough week. You'll find me in the tub with this here bottle. And, picking up a bottle by the label, which I think is a good transition into what we're talking about this week.
Totally. It's like the bottles that don't get the message across, maybe the really bad labels, what are those all about? Because didn't you find some article here in Bloomberg? Bad art, bad. I mean, it's good wine, but bad art on the label.
Yeah, this caught my attention, and I know I put it on the Vino with Val Facebook page because it was one of those things where we were just talking about this with Cynthia Sterling from Sterling Creative Works and about labels, and then we had that wicked good rosé that I bought just because of the bottle. With it looks like the rose, the Girard Bertrand.
Bertrand,
yes.
Yeah.
And so this caught my attention because there are wines that I literally would never buy because I found their labels to be kitschy or a huge turnoff. And I almost find that insulting to the wine consumer. I want information about the wine. I don't really enjoy a kitschy label. That's me. I just want to know as a consumer what I'm getting in the bottle. I could care less what's on the outside of the bottle. But this article by Bloomberg, by Ellen McCoy, talks about terrible labels, great wine, 6 amazing bottles hurt by bad art. Now, let's just preface this by saying that that's all relative. It's subjective. You know, what's terrible to you? And she does say this might not be terrible to me. And another point about women buying wine, a lot of times when people pick up a bottle, they have a specific event, particularly women, the way they buy wine, they have a specific event, an occasion, a friend or a meal or something in mind when they're buying these bottles. So I could totally see some of these bottles showing up in my house on like game night.
Yeah. I mean, some of them almost look like it would be something that's either computer generated, like cartoony, or comic book kind of thing. And it doesn't attract me, but it attracts that whole market that is into those video games or comic books.
Yeah. Like we have one game here. It's called like Mansions of Madness. And then there's another one. It has like monsters and stuff. And there's an iPad integration. And I'm looking at this first wine in this article called Zombies In. And of course, we're not bagging on the wines because she's saying these are great wines. But if you look at the label, there's this like zombie creature with flames shooting out of his head. And it's just... It's
like end of the world kind of a situation.
Yeah, there's like in the background, there's gray and smoke and carnage, I guess, suggested in the background. And it's so funny, but apparently this is supposed to be a really good wine. So I think that's really interesting that that's the first one we see.
I like how she puts next to that one that it says it would be perfect to kickstart a Hell's Angels party.
I know, right? I mean, it's just... It is so funny. And then she goes on to talk about the Mouton Rothschild, how they used to put the art, or they do, they put the art on the label there. But then she goes back to the 6 delicious wines that come in bottles, which she says have awful labels. And she says, no problem, just serve them in decanters. But what I think is interesting is not just the artwork, but the price points on these wines. So legendary producers here for the most part. I mean, but the first one... I have to say I've not heard of.
No, I haven't either.
But there's this white label. It's this Melka Wine CJ. It's a $75 bottle. Then there's the winemaker's eyes. And she says it's creepily staring out from the label. So it's kind of like, don't judge my wine, you know, kind of thing. And I'm looking, there's these eyes looking at you. I don't know. It's not the worst label I've ever seen, but it's kind of like. For me, it feels like I don't get it, is what it feels like. Like, because I'm just going, who is this guy? What is the message here? And at a $75 price point for one of these top Napa producers, I'm going, what? Am I missing something? Like, am I in the closet? I mean, I know I'm not in the closet this week. I'm actually just kind of in this padded little thing I've got going. She's in a padded room with a body bag behind her. I'm just saying.
I got the body bag. Oh my God, Val, that's terrible. No, but I agree with you. And then the next one is the Prisoner Wine Company's label called Blindfold. So a lot of people are familiar with The Prisoner, and this one is called Blindfold, and all of those wines are, you know, higher priced wines. So this one's around $32. But, you know, it's got this guy who's just like blindfolded as a prisoner and is in misery.
Yeah, he's tied to a stake.
It doesn't like set the mood. Like, are you going to be miserable drinking this wine? I don't know. But back to that decanter thing, right? Put it in the decanter.
Their labels are traditionally kind of
dark and creepy.
Yeah, kind of macabre if you think about it, or just different. But then the next one, Steph, the next one is a Cabernet Franc for the low price of $145. And I really don't know what this is on the label. It looks like there's a circle and it's smeared in the middle. And to me, it looks like somebody playing with like spirit photography, hoaxing or something. But she says it looks like a smudge dot label printer, like a malfunctioned computer printer or something. And again, love Cabernet Franc. It's big right now, but I don't know. Would you have like walked right past this wine if you didn't know anything about it?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, unless somebody recommended it to me or there was maybe a shelf talker that caught my eye, but otherwise I wouldn't be drawn to it. It looks like somebody just gave up on the artwork, I think.
And that brings us to the next couple of them. And there's one kind of like a dark, and she says it's a woeful, depressing scene on the wine label. It shows winter pruning on the dark days of winter. And I think the last word in the paragraph was sad.
Period.
Yeah.
It's one full sentence, sad, period.
Yeah, but this guy makes some killer wine. This is Ken Wright.
He does, and I've always liked his wines.
Love his wine.
Pinot Noirs, are outstanding. And you know what made me think of these bad, well, in our opinion, in her opinion, maybe aren't such great wine labels. But so often, like when you're ordering wine at a restaurant, you don't see the wine label. So you're looking at the producer and the price and the style and that kind of a thing. And so Ken Wright, I forget that his wine labels are kind of sad. And I often order them when I'm out because I'm not looking at the label.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's this next one here?
It looks like a courtroom, like a police sketch or a courtroom sketch.
Okay. So it's an Austrian wine. Yeah. It's just a black and white picture of this man's head.
It's a sketch.
Oh, it says, no, they invented a fictitious family to express the taste personalities of its wines, assigning each wine a face, a name, and a story. So he maybe on the back has a story or something like that. But we don't know what his name is. It's just the man, in this particular one. Or maybe it's the name of the wine here. Timothus.
Yeah.
Or something.
And it's, the Austrians, Burgenland region. And then this last one, guys, it's so funny. It's called Some Young Punks Monsters Attack. It's a $25 Riesling. And it's so funny because there's just like this big monster with these like this light shining out of his eyes and these people running away from him. I almost expect this to show up at my house during a summer barbecue. I have friends that would go, oh yeah, this will be funny. Let's just take this and because Valerie, because the way she is.
I think you should just buy it, Val. You should buy it for those gamers friends of yours.
Especially if it's a kick-ass wine. Because I'll tell you what surprised me.
Well, Clare Valley, it should be.
Yes, Clare Valley Riesling. The first time I had one was when I think you brought one when we were tasting for the CWE exam with you, Andrea, and Barb. And me, and I'd never had that one, and I had never had Kung Fu Girl Riesling by Charles Smith, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I would have never bought that wine because I think the label's so kitschy, but it is delicious.
Right.
And so this is another example. If this is, I love Clare Valley Riesling. I'm really surprised that this came out of Australia. If anything, it would be just fun to have this at a party.
I think so too, or just to fool people. How many people, like if you have a lineup of wine, because a lot of times our friends get together and everybody brings like one or two bottles and it's just sitting up there on the countertop with all the other bottles and nobody's drinking it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something? Like, wouldn't it be funny if you put your like iPhone on the video record, what's that, slow-mo or something? And you have it on there and you're recording people like picking it up and putting it down and not pouring it into their glass. That would be so funny. Like a time lapse, not slow-mo, time lapse, I think it is. But that would be hilarious. That's my sick humor, I think.
So yeah, I think that's fun. We'll link it up for you guys. And let us know what you think. If you've ever just walked past a bottle of wine just because of the label, if it was too kitschy or to anything. I'm just kind of curious because I think it's fascinating wine label art.
Yes, and the psychology with all of that. So yeah, definitely like leave us a SpeakPipe message and say, dude, I've had Monsters Attack, and it's, drinks much more than a $25 bottle of wine.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's a great price for a Clare Valley Riesling, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, let's take it back to the USA and talk about a factoid here. And I wanted to bring to light the small, hilly California wine appellation called Red Hills Lake County AVA. And I don't think I have had any wine from out of that little region there. Have you, Val, had anything from Red Hills Lake County?
I can't even remember. I remember studying it for the CWE.
Yeah.
And I remember drinking something out of Lake County, but I don't know if I've had Red Hills or not. at this point, I have no idea.
Yeah, well, now at least it's going to be maybe more top of mind. People can seek it out for a W25 challenge maybe.
Yeah.
But so this is a little region that was established in 2004. It's one of the AVAs within Lake County, which is part of the North Coast Regional AVA. And so geographically, Lake County, if you're not aware of where it is, it shares borders with Mendocino, Sonoma, and Napa. And it sits specifically on the southwestern side of Clear Lake, which is the largest freshwater body of water in California. So that's a little factoid. The AVA is also at the foot of an almost extinct, volcano, called Mount Konocti. And that's why it's called Red Hills. It's because the soil is strikingly red. So, and it's a hilly region. So there you go. The volcano is still considered active, even though it last erupted over 11,000 years ago. So, extinct, I don't know if that's the right word or not. But anyways, that's why it's a cool wine growing area, because of the volcanic soil. And the grapes that you typically see there are Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Petit Syrah, Sauvignon Blanc, Syrah, and Zinfandel. And they're grown in like a mountain climate condition. That's because there's a lot of good elevation there on these hilltops. And so a majority of the acreage is planted at or over 2,000 feet. So what does that mean? That means that you end up getting, the good elevation helps with the UV light. You get good quality air. So you've got thicker skins, higher tannins, and increased phenolic content. So you've got some pretty intense wines coming out of there. So that's why I'm thinking this should be a little bit more on my radar now that I've got this factoid carved out for you guys. Maybe it'll be on your radar too.
Very nice. And speaking of
radar. Yeah, we got some announcements this week.
She's like, hey, Val, I just threw you a softball. Wake up. Yeah. We do. We've got quite a few announcements this week, so we need to kind of move on here. We have our new #W25 book club, and we had a little discussion in our private Facebook group, which you're all invited to come on in and contribute to. And we decided that our first book is Bianca Bosker's Cork Dork, a wine-fueled adventure among the obsessive sommeliers, big bottle hunters, and rogue scientists who taught me to live for taste. And I could not wait to dig in. I think I got it like Friday night while I was at a tasting event and came home and just dug in first thing Saturday morning. So this will be our very first book club.
That's what we're going to start out with.
Yeah, I think we'll be talking about this in early August. So if you haven't gotten Bianca Bosker's book, I know there are links to it in our blog, and we'll definitely have one in there this week so you guys can go grab it. And you grab it out of our store and have it sent to you and start checking it out. I could not put it down. I mean, I've already started digging, and it's so funny. Her writing.
Oh, yeah. I read the introduction last night because I, too, it was like, kept teasing me sitting there. I've got other books that I had started, and I need to finish. Yeah. And I'm looking at Cork Dork going, I want you so badly.
I know, especially because we call ourselves Cork Dork,
yeah.
And I always mention comments about, Cork Dorkery and whatever. So of course it catches your attention, but her writing is just, it's very tongue in cheek. I'm really enjoying it. So I'm looking forward to reading the rest of it. I'm hoping you guys are going to enjoy our first book club book too. So I believe you have a month.
Yeah. And then we'll do a review. So if you are not inclined to get the book until the review, that's fine too. Otherwise, it's fun to read along and make comments in our Wine25 community private group. So either way, we're just glad to have a book club that everybody is included in. So,
yeah.
But we do have another announcement, and that is our first ever Wine to Five podcast happy hour. So we are going to be in Portland for the Society of Wine Educators Conference, and that is in August. So our happy hour is open to all listeners in the Portland area, or if you want to come down and be in Portland with us and you don't live in Portland, please do so. But we will be at the Vault Martini on Wednesday, August 9th from 5 to 7 p.m. We will be, letting you guys know about it often. So please get it on your calendar. And we do appreciate some RSVPs. So let us know if you're coming. We can create an event too, so you can RSVP on Facebook. If you're in the Portland area, come say hi, introduce yourself to us. We're going to have some happy hour drink specials and some happy hour small plates and things like that. But most exciting is we're going to have the Wine to Five cocktail available for everybody who wants to order that and try that. That was something that we created for our podcast anniversary. So that was really fun. And we might just have some free swag there too. So more to come on what kind of swag or any other details that evolve, but please save the date.
Yeah, if you're in the Portland area, we would love to meet you and see you at our happy hour. We're very excited. And then if you can't make it, if you're not in the Portland area, well, there is something you can do. You can go out to podcastawards.com, go to the arts category through the end of July, because the Wine to Five podcast is one of those shows that you will find in that category that's up for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. And that is in conjunction with International Podcast Day, which happens in September. So we would love it if you would go out to podcastawards.com and check out the nominations. This is where I find a lot of great shows. So hopefully you'll discover some new shows, or some of your favorites are already out there. And we would appreciate your vote. Hopefully you guys think we're worthy.
Yes, we would appreciate that, you guys, so much. I also want to show my appreciation and give some shout outs to Cold Terrace Winery. Cold Terrace is in Colorado. They have got a brand new canned wine, and they have 3 different kinds. The only one I have tried is the Rosé of Cabernet Sauvignon. And it's so darling and clever, and they have called it Can Terrace. So it's a play off the winery's name, Cold Terrace. So like I said, it's in Colorado, and it's situated in the Grand Valley AVA. And this rosé, this is just so cool. I just love this whole canned wine movement. But the wine is light and easy drinking like a rosé should be. And it's something to have in your refrigerator, just ready to go for all your outdoor activities. Or maybe you're doing the yard work and mulching like Val, and you need to have a little wine on the side. It's just perfect for even just a quick summer meal. You and your honey are grilling or something, and you're just like, go grab me a can of the Cold Terrace rosé. So it's $24 for a 4-pack. Keep your eye out for it, and we'll have a link for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good camping idea too.
Yeah, camping's perfect.
Yep. My shout out, I did a beautiful tasting Friday night as part of a silent auction prize for Teach for America. So the group, they were all educators, and they were absolutely lovely. And the venue too, I did it over Gold Hill Mesa here in Colorado Springs, but the food was incredible. It was done by our catering superstars locally here in Colorado Springs, Picnic Basket, Cravings, and Buffalo Gals, all 3 of those under one roof. And we cannot forget the wine. We also had a Killer Greek Rosé sparkling wine. And then we did 6 sparkling wines. We finished with a demi-sec champagne. And Chef Louis had made this apple galette with the salted caramel apple. It wasn't overly sweet. So with the demi-sec champagne, it went really nicely. And then he did these like parsnip panna cotta.
Whoa.
And little Peruvian fried donuts. And not too sweet, but with that demi-sec champagne and these desserts. And then he did a fried quail.
Whoa.
That we had with the Gruet. We had a Gruet Sauvage, which was a zero dosage sparkling from New Mexico.
Oh, Oh, I haven't tried that yet. I saw that at Supermarket Liquors. Is that a fabulous wine?
It is very good,
Okay.
yes. And it's, of course, a Blanc de Blanc, so it's 100% Chardonnay, Blanc de Blanc, white wine from wine grapes. He did a fried quail with arugula and apricot coulis, and then we had a charcuterie.
God, death by food.
Over the top. To the host who bid on it, Erin, and her husband, Matt, and to Gold Hill Mesa for hosting it, and to the caterer and Chef Louie, and Andrea, who helped serve, and Charisse. You guys, so awesome. And had a great time Friday night. And that to me is just, that's like the epic evening spending with people who really love sparkling wine and want to mix, match, and play. And so we had 6 glasses in front of them, and they could go back and forth and revisit as often as they wanted.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I spent the weekend washing 90 stems.
Yeah, that's not the way. That's not any fun, but all of the parts before that's fun.
Yeah. So I just took all weekend long, had the dishwasher going. I put my stems in the dishwasher. I'm lazy like that. I had 90-something stems to wash. But that was fun. And then, of course, another shout out, our newest Wine-tastic listener. We got our first Wine-tastic listener, and that's Laura. And we thank you so much for your support, too, which brings us to Patreon love. We have so much Patreon love, and it's growing like crazy. We have our tenacious tasters, Jeff E. from We Like Drinking, Lynn from Savor the Harvest, Sebastian of Sassy Italy Tours, and our It's Not 5 o'clock and We Don't Care listeners, Meg in South Dakota, Clay in Arizona, John in California, Andrew in Illinois, Aswani in California, and in case we missed it, Chantal in Ontario, Canada. You can see her write up the blog 2 weeks ago, and Mary Lou in Pennsylvania, and she was in last week's write up in the blog, so you can see a little bit more about her. But she did send us a little note on the Patreon page. It says, I love your podcast. I learn something new each week and always have a laugh or 5. I'm changing careers. I know, 1, 2, 5, laugh or 5. I'm changing careers, moving away from software sales after many years, 25 plus, pursuing a career in the wine trade. I'm prepared to sit for the CSW exam offered by Society Wine Educators. Keep up the great work, Mary Lou. Well, Mary Lou, I was in IT for over 25 years, and if that doesn't make you drink, I don't know what does. So cheers to that. And then, of course, I mentioned our latest Wine-tastic listener, Laura. And you can jump on the Patreon bandwagon, because if you like what you hear and you like spending time with us, it's like buying us a glass of wine, and we really appreciate that. And why else would you become a Patreon supporter, Steph? Why?
Why? There's so many reasons why. Well, you get new releases early, okay? So you get first dibs on all of our episodes. You get exclusive content that no other listeners get. And you get these shout outs because we have so much love for you. And then there's swag too, so you get a cool 125 stuff. So that's why, right? And we have our monthly drawing, and today we are drawing a new winner. So all of our Patreons get entered into this drawing at the $2 a month tastemaker listener level or higher, okay? Val's gonna draw.
Are we gonna tell them?
Yes, let's tell them. Okay. Do you have your copy there in front of you?
I do. I'm almost done reading. Steph sent me this for my birthday, and yeah, I'm still reading it because, I had school.
Okay, you tell them. What's the book?
Okay, so the book is called The X's in My Glass, a dating memoir, How I Refined My Taste in Men and Alcohol by Lisa Matson. And she is going to be on our show in a couple weeks. We had to kind of move some schedules around. She is the marketing and communications director at Jordan Winery in California. And she offered to send us one of these books to give away to one of our patrons.
That's so cool. Okay, let's do the drawing now.
All right, so I'm going to do the drawing now. Who's going to get this book? It is Aswani.
Aswani, congratulations. We will ship you out the book. So that is so exciting.
Yeah, I don't know if she's won yet, so that's awesome.
That's awesome. And so if any of you listening think, I want to get free cool stuff like that and support Val and Steph and all these wine antics that they do. So you can go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/wine25podcast. And we also want to send some love out to everybody who's listening, subscribing, That's one thing that we really appreciate when you subscribe to the show, when you share it, when you link it up or retweet or share something on Facebook. So you can definitely help spread the word and let your circle of friends know about our wine podcast. You can also leave us a burning wine question or comment on our SpeakPipe, and you can find that on our website, Wine25. We mentioned our Facebook community. It's called Wine25 Community. It's a private group for you to have conversations with just the people in our group. And we also appreciate reviews on Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio. Any reviews we love, and we also like to read them so everybody can hear what you think and what you appreciate. So please head over to our website. You'll find a lot over there, all of the links that we talk about, but you'll also find our store on our website where you can buy books like we talk about and our new book club and other accessories. You will also find all the links to our social media sites: Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and Google+. If you would like to connect with Val and I, Val is on Twitter at WineGalUnboxed and as Vino with Val on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. And I am happy to connect with you on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest as The Wine Heroine, and find me personally on Facebook as well. So until next week, everybody, cheers.
Cheers.
And congratulations, Aswani.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to the Wine to Five podcast. Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5 and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.